General election in Ireland, disaster. Every single right-wing patriotic party was smashed. Independents who were right-wing were utterly obliterated, and crazy lefty Marxist pro-immigration, pro-abortion, pro-gay people were voted in despite that's the very fact that's wrecking the country. What's wrong with people? Well, what's the Templar report? And both of us will have a close look at it. Hello again, Jim Dowson here, guest presenter with the Templar Report. What are we going to talk about today? Well, we've just had this week the Irish general election, and it's been a tsunami in terms of results, because the two main parties that have ran Ireland since independence from Britain have been Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. And that's it. The two of them have carved up the country between them. Now, there was a time when they were quite conservative. In fact, I think Fine Gael at one time were known as the Blue Shirts. They were supporters of Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. And the other lot were quite conservative also. So up until maybe the 1980s, the two parties were quite conservative, and it's the way you imagine Ireland. It was very conservative. Abortion obviously was banned. Contraception was banned. The Catholic Church ran the country. Well, those days are long gone. Ireland's now got abortion, gay marriage. It's probably the most liberal country in Europe, apart from Holland. It's completely mad. It's went totally mad. And 1/4, approaching 1/3 of the entire population are new coming immigrants. That's Ireland. So any views you've got of the old Ireland, I'm afraid it's fantasy world. That's what Ireland is now. Now, the elections were called, and Sinn Féin won a landslide victory. Now you might think, good, Sinn Féin, the IRA, they're taking over and going to get it back to the way it was. No. Sinn Féin are by far the worst, and they're the ones who have pushed for abortion. They're the ones who have pushed for gay marriage. They're the ones who have pushed for mass immigration. But the people have went out and said, yeah, give us more, and voted in unprecedented numbers Sinn Féin. In fact, they won the popular vote. They actually won the popular vote, and as many seats as the two other parties. In fact, more than slightly 2 seats less than the main one. But basically, they won the popular vote by a country mile, and they're on a par with the other two groups. So they could form a government, which has big implications for United Ireland. But I can assure you, the Protestants in the north, who they think are British, but they're not. They're Ulster, Scotch Irish. They're loyal to themselves. They're not loyal to anybody in particular, other than their God, their faith, and their people. They will never, ever live under Marxist communist rule. Never. It just won't happen. So all these politicians are talking about a border poll and reunifying Ireland. Yep, that could happen, but it would take a massive civil war, not the troubles of the 70s and 80s. I mean a real war. And the Protestants are highly disciplined and very militaristic. There'd be 50,000 dead on each side. There'd be no cities left in Ireland. And then you maybe could have unification, but even then I doubt it, because the Scotch Irish are ferocious fighting people, and they just won't have it. So that's where we are. But isn't it bizarre that our people went out and voted to have more of this liberal garbage? To have more of it, not voting for a party who would oppose it. In fact, all the right-wing national parties were annihilated, totally wiped out. But there's rapes, there's mosques going up everywhere, there's gang rapes, there's drug dealing, there's Africans running wild all over the streets in Ireland. I mean, they had to bring in the army into one area because they were out having gunfights in the street. But the people, rather than going out and voting for nationalist patriots to take power, they went out and voted for the arch-liberal, Marxist, red, communist socialists. I despair. But that's what happened. So, enough of that. And I don't think there's going to be a United Ireland anytime soon. In fact, I think a lot of good, decent Irish patriotic Catholics would maybe have to flee to the north to go and live in a nice, decent, non-communist state soon. So, and that, I'm being half serious there. That's how crazy Ireland's becoming. It's off the charts. But another strange thing happened. Because all the small right-wing nationalist parties were obliterated, totally annihilated, I mean, getting less than 0.5%. 0.5%. People are talking about unity, unity, unity. I've warned people before about this unity caper. It's very dangerous because some people calling themselves nationalists are pro-gay. They're pro-immigration. They're pro-EU. So, and other ones are, not that way, so they're okay, but other ones aren't. And some are civic nationalists, which means if you come to Ireland and you ascribe to the Irish way of life, you're Irish. But how can an African become Irish just because he's got a piece of paper from the government saying that he's an Irish citizen? It's ludicrous. Now, I know people in America find this hard to understand because everybody in America came from somewhere else. But the people in Ireland have been there for thousands of years. And I do not believe a piece of paper can make you Irish. It can make you American. It can make you British because these are political constructions in the first place anyway. But it can't make you Irish, can't make you German, can't make you French, can't make you English, can't make you Scottish. It's nonsense. So how can all the right-wing parties get together? Because they're coming from very, very different positions. There does have to be a strong right-wing presence in Ireland, but that has to be a proper, conservative, Christian, traditionalist, ethno, Irish patriotism. That's it. There can be nothing else. There is nothing else. And people don't believe me, they should read the wonderful and fantastic revolutionary writings of Padraig Pearse. And he explains it far better than I could, far more eloquently and more intelligently. But that's where we are. And it's very dangerous for the rest of the West to see Ireland going this way, because a lot of this is an experiment by the Soros people, by the neocons and all the rest of them. And it's dangerous because there is a geopolitical struggle going on here, and the struggles between the Atlanticists, that's America and Britain, who are on the west, and the Europeans, and then the Soviets and the Easterners, the Chinese and all the rest of it. And Ireland is caught right in the middle there. And I do feel very, very worried for the Irish people, because at the moment they're going right down the European leftist socialist road. And that will not be allowed to happen as far as the Atlanticists are concerned. And the American government will never allow a red pocket to be stuck out there in the Atlantic. It just won't happen. So goodness knows what's going to happen in the next 20 years, and I would imagine the Eastern forces will put a lot of pressure to try and pull Ireland even further over to the left. So as usual, poor old Ireland is going to be used as a political football to be kicked about in political post, and I don't want to see that, because sometimes I live on the island of Ireland when I'm not somewhere else. So I would appeal to patriots to really get their heads together. How do you determine what a right-wing political organisation should be? Well, it's very easy. Take a leaf from the Templars book, and we've used this model all over the world. The first thing you start with is this. This is your manifesto. This is your green book, black book, red book, whatever you want to call it. This is your manifesto. This. So you don't have to sit about for hours scratching your head what's your opinion on gay marriage, what's your opinion on ethno-nationalism, what's your opinion on all these other things. It's all in the good book. And if people can't ascribe to that, get rid of them. Don't have them in your party. And then you'll find that you'll have a party where there's not much disagreement. Your manifesto and your policies are crystal clear because they're based on the Word of God. And some of these more modern right-wing types who are just idiots, they'll just wander off because, they don't worship sky fairies. Well, let them, but they worship Hitler, or they'll worship Nietzsche, or they'll worship something else. So that's what needs to be done. So the foundation of any fight back, and a political fight back is highly unlikely, but a political movement it can be done, and it will be effective, but it must be on a rock solid foundation. Do you remember in the Bible it talks about the man who builds his house on a foundation of sand, and the winds came and the waters came and it fell down, it washed away, it cannot stand. And if you build on sand, nothing can stand the test of time if it's built on sand. If you build upon the rock, it will remain solid regardless of what comes at it. Regardless of whatever is thrown at it, it will remain solid. So you should build anything in life on the rock of Christ Jesus. And that's it. So I would appeal to the Irish to dust themselves down. They've had a bit of a mauling in the elections, the Patriots. They've had a mauling, but it's not the end of the world. Dust yourself down. Get back to your faith and start building a political movement. Not parties, a political movement. Because that's what happened when the Irish kicked out the Brits. They formed the IRB first, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and from that nationwide political movement which educated and motivated the people, came the political success and the revolution that was needed to get the British out. And I would suggest anybody who looks at Europe or the West right now and thinks we can cure all what's going on without a revolution is very naive and very foolish. So let's get back to our roots, let's start building from scratch, and one day, maybe not us, but maybe our sons, can retake our lost lands, not just in Ireland, but right across the Western world. I wish the Irish Godspeed, God's blessing in their endeavours. I'm always willing to help any patriot, whether they be Irish, Serbian or Hungarian or anywhere, or American. That's what my job is, that's what the Templars' job is. So God bless you, and I wish you every success in your fight back to reclaim your ancient and holy lands. And remember, stick close to God and you won't go far wrong. That's all from me in the Templar Report, and I'll see you again.
The threat is real, and we are on the front line. In a world of misinformation and attacks from the left and mainstream media, censorship, deplatforming, it is time to call out the fake news and bring you the truth. We are the Knights Templar. Visit our website and join today. We are the Resistance. Deus Vult.